Well, hey, team, welcome into the world premiere. Yes, the world premiere of Quarantine Catch Up. And I've got my first guest here today, Mr. Chris Roberts. He is Director of Innovation for Ayers. Chris, man, how are you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for joining me, man, on this the world premiere. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of eyes on this.
Yeah, man,
But
you should see the paparazzi out here. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's
well, I hope they're all keeping their distance and have masks on, Chris.
yeah,
So,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
appropriate. Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
And I wanted to kick off here, man. I wanted to thank you. I know we are talking off camera before we hit the record button, but and just catching up a little bit. I just want to thank you because you were actually one of the first people that really encouraged me to like get me back going into LinkedIn and into posting videos and things like that. And I had mentioned in a video I posted by the time I put this on LinkedIn, I guess it'll be last week. But I was in a real funk, and all my posting or talking to people, conversations, everything was really driven by my travel. And obviously travel has come to a screeching halt. And so I didn't know what to do and how to, continue to kind of really have a voice in the industry. And so, you're super encouraging to me, man, sent me a really nice note, a little bit ago. And so that really kind of got my butt into gear. So I really appreciate that.
Nice, nice. Yeah,
cool.
It was like I grabbed you and it was smack.
Yeah, that's right.
No, it was
classy sense into me.
It was a little friendlier than that, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know we talked a little bit. I want to, use this like platform as an opportunity to, get to know people better. Cause, as I mentioned in my previous video, that's really what I miss. And I know you and I have had a chance to catch up before, and we've talked about, industry trends and innovation in our industry. And, I do want to get to that, but man, I'm really interested in kind of you as a person and kind of how you got to global mobility, how you got to relocation. And we were talking earlier, I don't think anyone goes to college to major in relocation or global mobility. So I always find it really interesting, everyone's personal story of how they got into the industry. It's typically a circuitous route, So
yeah,
man, let's just go from the beginning, kind of what little I know about you, Chris, and some limited research that I've done. You're originally from the Pittsburgh area, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, actually, born in Dallas, but I can only claim like this much Dallas status because we were only there till I was like 4. So I have a twin brother though who I think totally exploits that more than I do. So Matt, if you're watching, your secret's out. But
okay, where is he? Is he still in Texas or is he in Pittsburgh as well?
No, he's actually in Cleveland. But over the years, he's whipped out a bolo tie or cowboy boots, which I know everybody in Dallas still wears, right? So
yes. Well, he's got to be like the exotic foreigner, I guess, in Cleveland if he's rocking cowboy boots.
Right. Well, I don't know if he does anymore. I don't know if his wife lets him. She's probably like, no, we're not going to do that.
Okay, fair. So, born in Dallas. Why did you guys go to Pittsburgh?
So my parents are originally from Pittsburgh. So they were down in Dallas. They went down to Dallas because my dad went to a seminary down there
cool.
at Christ for the Nations. I don't know if they're still down there or not, but he went down there, and then they eventually found themselves coming back to Pittsburgh. I forget the exact circumstances, and then really ever since then we've just kind of been in this area and moved around a little bit in the area, but this has been home and probably will be for a long time. I don't know. It's a great city to live in and lots of good things happening. So
yeah. And so you got a twin brother. Any other siblings?
I do. I have a twin brother, and then I have an older brother too, who's a couple years older. He's in tech, and the other one was originally in accounting, and then he's I believe he's now in more like the merger and acquisition and investment in other businesses kind of space, if you will.
Gotcha.
So a little bit of diversity too amongst what everybody's working on, which is cool. So
yeah, very cool. Your siblings, do they have children as well? I know you've got two kiddos.
They do. So yeah, my older brother, he's the one that has the little bit older kids. They're both in their teens, and it's a little bit of a different place in life than my twin brother and I. All of our kids are like in that like 3 to 6 year old range.
Nice.
So he's got 3, so he's got one more than we do, and then we've got
Okay.
the 2 boy and a girl. So it's fun.
Awesome.
And of
So
course,
are you guys done? Are you guys done? Six and 3, is that it? Boy and girl?
Yeah, I think we're good. I mean, you never know. Life can throw you a curveball, but I think that's a good number for us, and it's nice having one of each, right? So
Yep.
yeah.
So as my wife and I, we've got 2 boys, and we were talking earlier. We've got a 2-year-old. He just turned 2, actually on Sunday, and then we've got a 7-month-old, and they're both boys. And I think I want a third. I want to try for a third. It'd be awesome to have a daughter. I even think like 3 boys would be cool. The Bennell boys just, running around town. But I don't know if my wife is fully convinced, and she's the one that has to do all the hard work. So
yeah,
I'm not sure I don't have it or not.
Got to get her on board.
Yeah, exactly. She's an important piece of the puzzle. That's for sure. I'm sure it's pretty fun getting together with your twin brother's kids, right? If they're all between like 3 and 6, huh?
Oh yeah, they love it. I mean, they always have a good time, and it's cool. It's cool when you have cousins like that are the same age. I grew up that way too. I had a lot of cousins right around the same age, and it was always a blast to be able to hang out with them and grow up together. So it's cool.
Awesome.
It's a cool thing. So
yeah, that was a big part of us because we moved from Houston to Charlotte.
Okay.
About beginning of September last year, and that was one of the big reasons that we wanted to come to Charlotte, because my sister, she has a family. She's got 2 young boys. They are almost 4 and just over 1. So they're like right in between our boys. And so, yeah, that's kind of the idea is, growing up with cousins and always kind of having family around, kind of a cool opportunity. So,
Yeah.
Okay. So grew up in Pittsburgh, and for college, I know you went to Robert Morris. Is that correct?
Sure did.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's in Pittsburgh as well, or is that just outside?
Pittsburgh too. It's over near the airport. If you've ever been out this way in Moon Township.
Okay. Okay.
And I went actually originally for graphic design and marketing, and then after being in that kind of line of work for probably 5 or 6 years, I really got bored with it. Because it's in most cases it's all about production and just produce. And I was really more interested in more the business side of design. I was more interested in all of the thinking that goes in front of all of that production, and why are we doing things, and how is it meaningful to the people that you're creating those things for? Is it meaningful for them, right? What's the value? And so I kind of dabbled in a number of different roles for a while, and then I finally found myself at this really awesome company called Maya, and they were an innovation lab here in Pittsburgh. And there's many days where I still wonder how in the world that worked out. I think it was just divine influence, opening a door. I can't explain it otherwise, because I was working with these people that were just unbelievably smart and unbelievably talented, and just doing crazy things like trying to figure out how do you design flow management systems for oil and gas, or how do you help a company leverage social media to innovate, or how do you help a healthcare company figure out how do they transform their business and be profitable and deliver appropriately under healthcare reform. I mean, so I go from like designing brochures and go into that kind of work, and it was like, oh my goodness, what am I doing?
So is it fair to say, you kind of transitioned from, the what, like what you were making, I guess, just someone putting something in front of you, every day, and you working on that or whatever part of that, and then transitioning on to the next part. You moved from what to you wanted to be more involved in the why, I guess. Is that fair?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And that was really so much of the work that they did. And they were very heavy into things like design thinking and user research, and helping companies really get very focused on people and what motivates them. What are their behaviors? What's their environment like?
Mm.
How do you create things then that meet the needs within those environments and within their world, whatever that world is? And very
Mm.
often that was something that was a blend between digital and physical, and dealing with just the expansive amount of information that grows, second by second. And so it was really fascinating. It was so much, I joke and tell people that it was like the master's degree I got paid for.
Mm. Right.
Because
Right.
it just kicked my butt in so many ways. But I met a lot of amazing people and got to work on some really cool stuff. So it was phenomenal. It was such a cool experience.
So rather than, you being, 100 whatever grand in debt, you came out the other side, you got paid
Right.
for your master's degree. That's not a bad trade-off.
Yeah, it was a good way to go. I highly recommend it. I
Yeah. Maybe in a little over your head, but that's the best way to learn, I think, kind of
right.
baptism by fire.
They were really big proponents of talking about the need to be comfortable with uncomfortability, and
Mm.
I really appreciated how much they really drilled that into people's heads. At times it was a little bit anxiety inducing, right?
Yeah.
Because you get thrown into these problems and these situations that you're like, oh my gosh, why are you coming to me for advice? Like, I don't even know how to get through this. But they hired people that were willing to get thrown into the mix of messy things, and who are willing to help try to find the way out. And so it's amazing what you learn through those kinds of situations. And some
Yeah,
people
sure thing.
really thrive in that, and some people you find really struggle. And so it can be a really interesting thing to be a part of and see where you come out on the other end. Thankfully, I was able to figure out how to thrive in that, and then that sort of, I think, just totally changed the trajectory for me in my career and what I was working on. And I haven't really looked back since then. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah, it's almost like, that old adage, fight or flight, sink or swim. It's like, okay, here's the problem in front of me. Okay, like, what am I going to do about it? I can
Yes.
either kind of shrink away, or try to rise to the occasion. So, okay, so you have this awesome, experience with this company. How do you get to relocation? Like, how does Ayers come up? I know
So I've been
obviously Ayers has been in Pittsburgh for a long time, and
right.
a great company, but how are you even introduced to them or to relocation?
So it was through technology. So I eventually found myself in just very tech focused roles and things like user experience and product strategy. And I did some product management, although I will never claim to be a product manager.
Okay.
But I eventually found myself at a tech consultancy that then got Ayers as a client. And
Mm,
and so most of the work that I did while I was at this consulting company was work on Ayers. Ayers was my main account. And so we helped them launch a couple new products, and really helped them start to inject design thinking and human-centered design approaches into the way that they were creating technology products. And then about 2 years in, I had a very serendipitous moment where it was we had some downturn in the consulting company, and I was about to get laid off. And it was like, I think it was the day where, like, within a day or two of getting a notice of getting laid off,
wow.
I had coffee with Jolene Lawfer, who's our EVP,
Sure.
and she was like, "What do you think about coming to work at Ayers?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And
Does it pay? Is it a job, and does it pay money? Yes,
yeah,
I am
exactly.
interested. Yeah.
Sounds good. So it was
Yeah.
like literally 3 days after that conversation with her, I was working for Ayers. And
Had you ever worked, in that previous role, had you ever worked on, a project for a service company before Ayers?
um, I have, but it was in uh, totally drastic industries.
Hmm.
And so this was, in a lot of ways, it was a new space for me. Certainly relocation, absolutely new. And I feel like even now, 3 years later, there's still a lot of stuff that I'm learning and new people that I'm meeting. And for it being not that big of an industry, I think that's a really interesting thing to still be learning and
Yeah.
still be finding things. And certainly there's a lot of interesting people and things happening. So it's a cool time to be, I think, in it.
Yeah, yeah. I've always found, and that's why I enjoy talking to you. I've always found your role, really intriguing because, I've always thought, and I majored in marketing as well as Clemson, and
Nice.
I've always thought that, marketing a service organization has, unique challenges that I feel like, because we're not making a specific, hard product. We're not making a widget or, whatever. And so with that, I think comes some challenges as far as, a service organization. So I've always, appreciated kind of, your outsider's perspective, I guess, to the Relo side.
Yeah. And, it's funny you say that. I was just having a conversation the other day with somebody, and the thing that I said that surprises me the most about this industry is so few people actually know how to properly market their value.
Yes.
Everybody's like, I'm a relocation company. I'm like, no, you're a DSP, or no, you're a realtor, or no, you're this, right? Like, be clear about what you do. Because I think especially for somebody like me, who's an outsider, for the longest time, and actually still today, I really struggle with being like, what does this person do? Or, what is this actual company? Because everybody's using the same exact words to describe what they do. And I think I hope people start to change that. I'm seeing actually, I've met a couple of people recently who are independent marketing consultants who are tackling this industry for that exact reason. And one of them is Olivia. I can't think of Olivia's last name, and I don't want to butcher
let's give her a plug.
Yeah, here, let me look her up real quick. So
sure.
Olivia, if you're watching this, I'll tag her in the video because she'll probably be thrilled by it. Like, somebody's talking. She's super cool, and she's been putting out some fantastic content.
Okay. Is she based out of Pittsburgh or
Canada? I think she's in Toronto. Oh. Olivia Barami. I think that's Olivia. If I butchered your name, I really apologize. But she's up in Toronto, I'm pretty sure, in Canada, and met her recently. And she's trying to help people be smarter and be clear about their value. And I think that's great. And I hope we see more of that.
That's great. No. Okay, cool. So I've said before, 10 to 15 minutes, we've gone way past.
Oh, yes.
That.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
just the tip of the iceberg here, Chris. So you'll have to come back, man, because I just really appreciate, picking your brain. But what we're going to do to close out our conversation, I'm going to have a segment each time we have a quarantine catch up. And this segment is called the Fast Five. Okay. So I got 5 hard hitting, not really, questions for you to close out the conversation so we can learn a little bit more about Chris Roberts. Okay.
Okay. Can I ask you one quick question at the end too?
Yeah. Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Okay. All right. So number 1 of the Fast Five, if there's a movie about Chris Roberts' life, who plays you? What actor?
Who plays me? Oh man.
Yeah. It's gonna say a lot about you. So choose wisely. If you come at me with like George Clooney, we're just stopping right now. Okay?
No. I'm thinking of what's his name? There's this. I can't think of his name, but I feel like it would be a comedian because I feel like I'm rarely really serious in life.
Okay.
And when I am, people are like really thrown off about it, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, she's serious. You must be mad."
Okay, that's good to know. Do you know what he's in?
Yeah. What's his name? He's up in New York. He does. I was gonna say he does a lot of stand up, and I'm like, wait, that's like every comedian that's alive. Oh shoot, I can't think of his name.
We'll think of it. Yeah,
if it comes back to me, I'll tell you.
Okay. But the guy up in New York, he may or may not do stand up. That's him.
That's right.
Okay.
Very descriptive.
Yeah. He's in that show or movie, that thing, Yeah, that guy. Okay, good.
That's probably a good thing because I feel like a lot of people don't know much about my background, and I'm sort of a mystery to some people in this industry. So maybe that's good.
Exactly. There you go. It just plays up to it. Okay. All right. I got a number 2. Okay. This is not necessarily your favorite book, but if you had to gift a book to someone, you had to give a book to someone, what book would that be?
Oh, Powerful. And it's from names are killing me. I'm dying with names right now. She was the HR head of HR for Netflix, and she was awesome. She
Write
wrote
it
this
down.
amazing book called Power. And let's see, I just found it. Patty McCord, awesome lady. She is like the kind of person that just wants to kick HR in the teeth, like HR practices and the compliance approach and the dehumanized approach that HR has traditionally taken. And she has so many great thoughts of just how you can rehumanize that approach and really leverage the people in your organization to do amazing things. And there's so many great points in the book, and I've seen her speak live. She's awesome. She's amazing.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Very cool, man. So is it Power or Powerful?
Powerful, and it's building a
Powerful. Okay.
culture of freedom and responsibility.
Awesome. I'm gonna check that out. I'm always looking for my next book, so I'll check that out. Cool. Okay. Number 3. All right. You're familiar with like would you rather questions?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Would you rather have unlimited international first class plane tickets for the rest of your life, or would you rather never have to pay for a bill in a restaurant for the rest of your life? Are you travel or are you food?
I'd travel. I'll do travel.
All right. First class too. So that's easy.
Yeah. I mean, why not? That's
okay.
Living the high life.
You just have to pay for your food everywhere you go when you travel, but that's fine.
That's okay.
Okay. All right. Awesome. That was easy. All right. Number 4. Okay. Other than relocation, and you're kind of, like the Renaissance relocation guy, I think, you got a lot of stuff going on. But other than, let's say, graphic design or consulting, other than relocation, what career do you think you would, if no hold bar, just anything out there, what do you think you'd want to go into? You had to do it all over again.
I'd go
house
flip
flipping?
houses. I love building things. And,
Yeah.
I'm always like thinking about like, we could totally go do that. But then I'm like, wait, I don't have the time for that.
Yes. That is quite a commitment, both time and financially. So.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I like it. Maybe that's, something you do in retirement. That's kind of cool. Okay. 5, last question of the Fast 5. You're coming out of Robert Morris. What advice do you give to your 22-year-old self?
Learn how to be a great public speaker as quickly as you possibly can. And I say that because I feel like out of all of the skills that you could learn, I feel like that's the one that I found to be the most impactful. Because if you can learn how to speak well in front of people, it really shapes an incredible amount of positivity towards how people see you. And then I think it can really make or break people, because I've seen people who are incredibly smart and really good at what they do, and then they get in front of people and they just flounder. And then people have this mental model like, oh, don't get them in there again. Yeah. And it's unfortunate, right? But then I've seen other people who I know, I'm like, this person's, maybe they're not my favorite person, right? But then I see them in front of people and people will love them. And I just think it's an amazing skill that it can really help you in so many ways. So
that's awesome. That is great advice. I think we've all seen people give presentations where, like, no matter like how life-changing the content can be, if they're a bad speaker, a bad presenter, it just falls on deaf ears, Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. That's a great point. Cool, man. Well, that's it. That's all I got. You said you had one question for me to close out.
How are you keeping your haircut? Because I mean, I'm looking at myself and I'm like, gosh, my hair is like this, like poof.
I was gonna say, I think that looks good for you, Chris. I think it's pretty good, man. You just put a little product in there, Well, it's funny because I had I tried, and it's a real quick story. I tried to have my wife, because I just can't stand when the sides get long.
Oh yeah.
I want to keep it, tighter, So I tried to have my wife cut a fade and just leave the top. And by watching, YouTube videos and without throwing my wife under the bus, let's just say it didn't turn out that great. So I just said, let's just start over. Let's just burn it down. And so I just buzzed the whole thing. And then when North Carolina was, and I'm not sure what they're doing with salons right now, but when they initially started opening back up, You had to get your temperature taken. I wore a mask. They wore mask, gloves, the whole thing. I got a quick haircut. So that's the only actual haircut I've gotten, in the past however many months. But we'll see. This is actually a rare occurrence because I've been wearing hats every single day.
Yeah, me too.
And I've never been doing anything else. So anyways. Cool. Well, Chris, man, I really appreciate you joining me today, man. I look forward to catching up with you again. Yeah, absolutely. For Chris Roberts, I'm David Bunnell. We will catch up with you guys later.
See ya. Thanks.